Hi, this is Mark Laughlin. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what I think is the ideal ambigate pistol. Now, it's going to have to be, my ideal pistol is going to be ambidextrous, of course. Now, to me, ambidextrous means perfect mirroring. Now, how you get there, I don't know. Okay, now as regards to my insistence on perfect mirroring. Now the reason I demand that the magazine release work identically the same left and right, the slide release needs to work identically the same left and right, is the same reason that the trigger must work identically right-handed and left-handed. For example, if the trigger on your pistol right-handed was smooth and crisp, but was gritty and mushy on the left side, it would be very difficult to learn to master left and right. And that's because your brain will figure out that you're trying to do things ambidextrous, and it will basically transfer the skill set from right-handed to left-handed as long as the controls are identical. So, for example, on this PPQ has excellent and perfect ambidextrous mirroring. The magazine release works identically on the right hand side and the left hand side. The trigger is identical on the right hand side and the left hand side. Slide release is identical from the right hand side to the left hand side. But here's an example. This is a Ruger American Compact 9. Now, the reason I would think this might be a great ambidextrous pistol or an ambigate pistol is it has a mag release for both right-handed and left-handed shooting. So we have mag releases on both sides. Now we got this here, we have slide releases on both sides. So your major controls are mirrored on both sides. Now, those are the ambidextral gunfighter features I expect to find in my pistol. But there's a lot of other features you need to find, and you've got to factor in a lot of things to fit your life with the proper pistol. We've got size and weight. Now, a pistol does no good if it's too heavy and too fat and too thick for you to carry with you daily. So size and weight is important, especially for civilians, because I want you to think about something as one, what is the likelihood that you will have to deploy, say brandish a pistol in your lifetime? What is the probability of that happening? 5 or 10%? It's probably not going to ever be in a situation where you have to make use of your pistol or brandish your pistol. So you want to make sure it's there, but it's got to be inobtrusive. It's got to fit your lifestyle. It's got to be something that's not so heavy, so bulky that you don't carry it. And especially since it's most likely you're not going to ever have to use it. And hopefully that's the case. Now, part of the thing is okay, well, size and weight, that's an issue. And the probability of needing a pistol is fairly low, so we want to make sure it's a lightweight pistol, small. Also, how many rounds do you really need? Okay, let's think about that. Let's see, how many rounds are you probably going to need? So, if, one, the probability of you using your pistol is, say, only 5 or 10%. And then when you do deploy it, say a situation arises and you actually do draw your weapon, I would think that probably 90% of the time, you're not even, or let's say for argument's sake, just 50% of the time. Say 50% of the time that you have to draw your weapon, you're not even have to shoot it. So, if you have a pistol and you have to deploy it, which is going to be rare, and then if you do deploy it, the chance of you having to actually shoot somebody is going to be even rarer. And then if you do get into a gunfight, what's the average number of rounds that are used in a gunfight? Usually 3 to 4 rounds, and it's over. So do you really need to be packing a big ass pistol with 17 rounds or extended magazines, or carrying 3 extra magazines with you everywhere you go? Now, I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying factor these in mind, because everything's a life balance. It's a balance of choices. If you're carrying a pistol, there's other things you're not carrying. Maybe you're not carrying a first aid kit. Maybe you're not carrying a quikclot. Maybe you're not carrying an AED in case you have a heart attack or somebody you love has a heart attack. There's a lot of other things you can be doing besides just carrying a pistol in defense of life and liberty and property. So, size and weight. How many rounds do you really need? Average number of rounds in a gunfight, 3 to 4. Probability of use, probability of brandishing the firearm, probability of actually firing the firearm are all low. So, what I'm looking for is a pistol with ambi controls for perfect mirroring so I can make use of cover and use my left hand. It's got to be lightweight, and it's got to carry sufficient rounds for a firefight, and perhaps be reloadable so I can carry an extra magazine if I know I'm going to be in an area with increased probability of conflict. Just things to keep track of and keep in mind. Just because a big gun that carries 17 rounds is easy and fun to shoot at the range, that may not be the pistol that you want to carry in self-defense. TFB TV made a really cool spreadsheet to do some analysis on comparing handguns, specifically 380s and 9mm. What the spreadsheet does is take weight and figure out how many rounds per ounce that firearm features, and size, how many rounds per dimensions, physical dimensions that firearm has. Now, it's a great spreadsheet. Now, I took the spreadsheet and modified it for my own uses. And what I look at is, from this magazine on this firearm, this one carries 12. In my opinion, the first 4 rounds are more valuable than each incremental one beyond that. Now, why is that? Because what we learn is that in the typical firefight, it's over within 3 to 4 rounds. Moreover, we know that 90% of the time, you never have to fire your firearm. You just brandish it, and the situation is quelled. And then moreover, in your whole lifetime, there's only a 5 or 10% chance that you'll actually ever have to pull your firearm anyway. But when you do, if you have to get into a gunfight, the first 3 to 4 rounds are pretty important, because that's how long the average gunfight lasts. Now, say the next round up is not quite as valuable as the first 4, but it's still good to have it, isn't it? And then the 6th round, maybe not quite as important as the first 4, but still nice to have that 6th round, but not quite as nice. And as far higher up and higher up we go, say you get to 17 rounds, that 17th round is nowhere near as valuable as the first 4 are individually. The first individual 4 rounds are worth way more than that 17th round. So what I did was I took the TFB TV spreadsheet and modified it. I did 2 modifications. One was I take the round count, and for the first 4 rounds I give it a full value. But then the 5th round and each subsequent round thereafter, I value that additional round a little bit less. So, for example, on the 17 round pistol, I only value the total round count as equal to being about 14 rounds. Now, it's subjective. I just made it up. But it's something I wanted to factor in. You want to think of is that each additional round is worth less compared to the early rounds. I mean, you could potentially have a pistol that had 100 rounds, a big 100 round magazine. Yeah, it'd be cool to have 100 rounds, but do you want to pack that weight around? The other thing I did was the spreadsheet from TFB TV was that their original spreadsheet design had weight was not valued quite as heavily as dimensions. And I multiplied the weighting and the overall composite score. Weight did not have quite the same value as the physical dimensions of the pistol. And so I multiplied the weight value by 2 in order to bring it, I think it's a little more than 2, but something along those lines to make it so that they were more equal partners in that overall composite score, which is, the composite score is kind of just a made-up number, but it's just something to help you compare all the pistols. What we know is that, sure, you would like a very small pistol, but if it's very tiny and weighs 50 pounds, probably not going to carry it. Or if you have a big pistol, it's made out of styrofoam that weighs 2 ounces, but is this big, is 4 foot long, you're not going to carry that either. Size and weight are both factors in this. So you'll find the spreadsheet. I'll put a link down below in the description, a link to my website where I have my modified spreadsheet. And in my modified spreadsheet, I still have the numbers from the TFB TV spreadsheet as well. And so you can look through all that, and you can also go to TFB TV and check out their original version, and maybe they've updated, added more firearms to that list. And I don't know, I've added a few on mine as well. So anyway, another factor to look at for the ideal Ambigate pistol. Okay, now I want to take it 2 terrific articles that you can find on Zero Hedge. I will place links to both of them in the description. They're 2 great articles by Andy Rutledge, arguing for the Glock line of pistols, and I don't disagree with him as far as the quality of the Glock, but I do think he's ignored a crucial context of opportunity cost potentially in choosing a Glock over other pistols. Okay, here's part 1 of Andy Rutledge's article on why he favors the Glock. And I just want to highlight, I highly recommend you go read both articles in full, but I want to highlight, emphasize one section. He says, quote, "I do not care about a target gun or a competition gun or a range gun. I evaluate every feature and overall package exclusively in the context of a fighting tool that one carries all day, every day, in the course of normal, everyday activities in public and private. I have almost no regard for specialized pistols made for something other than the job of assuredly stopping violent people or animals so that I and those I love can escape their violent intent." And that is precisely my emphasis on the purpose of a firearm or handgun in particular as well. And then on his second article, this is more onto the technology of the pistol itself. He notes something that I think is also pretty important. He notes that, quote, "Many pistols' texture is fine for good purchase when your hands are dry and you're standing still. But what about when you're in the fight for your life? When your hands are sweaty or wet from rain or bloody? Sweat, and especially blood, is damn slick," unquote. Now again, I recommend that second article as well. Now, where I differ is that he basically argues that, will you trust your life to anything less than a Glock? And there's nothing wrong, and he advocates basically for the Glock 19, which actually, if you'll note, is at near the top of the list as far as rounds per size and weight in that spreadsheet. It's, I think, second or third. but very high on the list. Very well designed as far as efficiency in carrying a large number of rounds for the size and weight. Still, I think it's excessively big for everyday carry, unless you're in basically in a combat zone. But if you're a typical civilian in a relatively safe community, I think it's excessive. And the reason is opportunity cost. Well, one is the fact that you can't carry, you have a limit in how much you can carry, how much weight you can take with you, so therefore how much gun and how much ammo you can carry with you. And then there's also the opportunity cost of your alternatives to carrying a weapon. For example, you could carry a first aid kit, an epipen, injectable magnesium for if you have a heart attack. You could also carry a quikclot trauma kit, first aid kits. And then there's also, is it better to carry a Glock 19 with a couple of magazines, or a PF9, say, with it's much lighter and much more affordable? Now, okay, so the Glock is going to be more durable if you're shooting 300,000 rounds, or you're really putting it through its paces, 3 times a week, like Andy Rutledge is doing. I do not do that, and because I have other focuses in my life besides just shooting. But do you want to have a Glock 19 and have, say, there's also there's the opportunity cost of the dollar cost. So you could have a Glock 19, and because you spent the extra money on a Glock 19, maybe you can't afford tires for your car. So do you have a Glock 19 with bald tires, or do you have a PF9 and you have really good tires in your car? You've got to keep the full context of your whole life in balance to make these kind of judgments. Now, it's possible, given your wealth and your personal carrying capacity, as far as carrying weight and size and weight constraints, that you can carry the Glock with no problem. The other thing is to think of, okay, is it exclusively a pistol that makes you safer? And is it really making you safer, or is it giving you the opportunity to go into other areas that maybe you wouldn't travel to if you did not have the pistol? So that you could, if you have a pistol, you're able, with the pistol, maintain a same consistent amount of risk in your life and travel into maybe less reputable neighborhoods because you're armed and you can go meet people there and befriend the people in those communities. Or you can travel in deep into the forest and not have to worry too much about bears and mountain lions. So you're maintaining a certain level of risk in your life by using the pistol. It's like seatbelts. Do they make you safer when you're driving an automobile? Well, they start off making you safer, but at some point people figured out, hey, with seatbelts and anti-lock brakes, I can kind of push the limits a little bit more and still maintain the same level of risk that I did before seatbelts and before anti-lock brake systems. Back in the day when I raced motocross, I bought the best helmet and the best motocross boots that I could find, not necessarily to make it myself safer as a motocross racer, but in order to be able to push the limit a little bit further at the same level of risk with which I was comfortable. So keeping things in full context, like I mentioned, the overall cost of things. Is it better to have, say, one Glock 43, and that you keep with you all the time, or 2 PF9s, Kel-Tec PF9s, because your price is about the same. You can buy 2 PF9s for the price of one Glock 43. And therefore you could have, with the PF9s, you could afford to have a pistol on you and then, say, a pistol in a vehicle or hidden throughout your house somewhere. So there's this full context of your life must be maintained in order to make these decisions about, do you spend $10,000 on a top line pistol, or do you spend much less and use the savings to do something else to enhance your life? Again, forthcoming videos, I'm going to be doing reviews on the Ruger American Compact 9, the Walther PPQ Classic M1, as well as a little bit of discussion on the CZP-10, and the H&K VP9 in regards from an ambidextral gunfighter perspective.